welcome back to Lisa's Study Guides. You're now doing your comparative text, so thank you so much for coming to this video and for trusting me in giving you advice for your English studies. Or if you're a teacher who has sent your students here, then I really appreciate it. Today we're covering the Crucible and the Dressmaker. If you didn't know already, the Crucible used to be paired with Year of Wonders. So you'll probably come across a lot of advice comparing those two texts, but probably fewer comparisons based on the Crucible and the Dressmaker, purely because they're new texts. Having said that though, we've got you covered here at LSG. We've got another video covering the more general elements of the Crucible and the Dressmaker, including themes, context, and some of the characters. A blog post as well to help you go into more detail. So I recommend you catch up on those resources first before getting into this video, which is a really in-depth jump into the Crucible and the Dressmaker, because we'll be having a look at an essay topic and going into detail about how you can approach it. To ensure that we're on the same page though, I'll quickly give you an overview of the two texts, more so just focusing on specific plot points that will be relevant for the essay topic we'll be covering today. Summary. The Crucible is a 4-part play that portrays the atmosphere of the witch trials in Salem. As an allegory of McCarthyism, the play primarily focuses on criticizing the ways in which innocent people are prosecuted without any founded evidence, reflecting the unjust nature of the corrupted authoritarian system that governs Salem. It starts off with the girls dancing in the woods and Betty's unconsciousness, which causes the people of Salem to look for unnatural causes. People start scapegoating others to escape prosecution and falsely accuse others to gain power and land, facilitating mass hysteria, which ultimately leads to the downfall of the Salem theocracy. The protagonist, John Proctor, is one of those that decides to defy the courts and sacrifices his life towards the end of the play, ending the play on a quiet note in contrast with its frenzied conflict throughout the acts. The Dressmaker shows the audience the treatment towards Tilly Dunnage upon her return to fictional town Dungatar years after she was wrongly accused of being a murderess. Rosalie Ham critiques the impacts of rumors on Tilly and Molly, also establishing her condemnation of the societal stigma of this isolated town. Tilly starts making haute couture outfits to transform the lives of the women in the town and help them present themselves as more desirable and elevate their ranks. However, the townspeople still see Tilly negatively, except for some individuals who are able to look past the opinions of others and get to know Tilly herself. Ham's gothic novel garners the audience sympathy towards the outcasts of the town and antagonizes those who find pleasure in creating drama and spreading rumors about others. Let's look at our prompt. Compare the ways in which outcasts are treated in the Crucible and the Dressmaker. Before writing our topic sentences, we need to look at our keywords first. The keywords in this prompt are outcasts and treated. So, who are considered outcasts in the two texts? Outcasts can be those of traditionally lower classes. They can be characters with physical flaws, or those that are different to others, or those who do not abide by the standards of their respective societies. In the Crucible, Tituba, Abigail, John Proctor, or even Martha Giles can be considered as outcasts. In the Dressmaker, we can consider Tilly, Molly, and the McSweeneys. We also need to look at our second keyword, treated. How would we describe the treatment towards these characters? Are they treated nicely, or are they mistreated and discriminated? Do all members of that community have that same treatment towards those outcasts, or are there exceptions? Remember this point because we might be able to use this to challenge the prompt. We're going to skip the step 2 brainstorm today, since we've got a bit to cover for our third step. But if you're familiar with LSG teachings, then you know these steps come from my Think and Execute strategy discussed in my How to Write a Killer Text Response ebook. Argument 1. Both texts portray outcasts as victims of relentless accusations or rumors, seeking to engage the pathos of the audience towards those who are marginalized. In the Crucible, Tituba, the Negro slave, is the first person to be accused by witchcraft in Salem. Her consequent low standing is also shown through her use of language, "You beg me to conjure, she begged me make charm," which is fraught with grammatical errors compared to Judge Danforth, who uses legal jargon, and the Putnams, who are much more well-spoken. Similarly, the McSweeneys are also those of lower class and are seen as outcasts of Dungatar. Their names show us their position in the social hierarchy because they are associated with swines. This is confirmed by Surgeon Farrett, who says Teddy McSweeney was, by the natural order of the town, an outcast who lived by the tip. Even when Teddy McSweeney died, the townspeople still do not reflect on the impacts that their prejudice and bigotry had on him, eventually forcing the McSweeneys to leave town because they can't find a sense of belonging living there. Tilly is also poorly treated due to the fact that she is fatherless, being bullied by the kids at school, especially Stuart Pettiman, and also used by William as leverage to marry Gertrude, threatening Elsbeth that it's either her or Tilly Dunnage. You can also discuss Giles Corey's death and the significance of his punishment, as the stones that are laid on his chest can be argued to symbolize the weight of authority. Argument 2. Miller and Ham also denounce the ways in which outcasts are maltreated due to their position in the social hierarchy through his antagonization of other townspeople. There's a quote on this by Molly, "But you don't matter. It's open slather on outcasts." Herein, she warns the audience of how quickly outcasts can become victims of rumors and accusations, as the term slather carries negative connotations. Similarly, the theocracy that governs Salem dictates the rights of their people and children. He specifically states, children were anything but thankful for being permitted to walk straight, eyes slightly lowered, arms at sides, and mouths shut until bidden to speak, which explains the girl's extreme fear of being whipped. Salem is very violent to its children, slaves, and helpers, and it can be seen that this is the result of social hierarchy and the Puritan ideology. For the dressmaker, you can also discuss the ways in which they label people. Daughter of Mad Molly is back, the murderess. Likewise, Goody Osborne, the drunkard, half-witted, and Sarah Good, an old beggar woman. You can also discuss how Martha is accused of being a witch just because she's been reading strange books, and Sarah Good due to the mere act of mumbling. The normality of these actions underlies the absurdity of the accusations made against these individuals, furthering Miller's chastisement of the fictitious nature of the trials, and also the ways in which outcasts are the first to be scapegoated. Argument 3. However, there are still characters that are driven by their sense of morality or remorse instead of mistreating the outcasts of their community. Both Sergeant Farrett and Proctor are motivated by the remorse to make amends. Proctor's evasion of tearing the paper and finding his goodness is motivated by his desire to atone for his sin, having committed adultery with Abigail. Meanwhile, Sergeant regretted sending Tilly away. He, in his eulogy, says, "If they had included her, Tilly would have always been with us," expressing his regrets for the ways outcasts are treated in Dungatar. Similarly, Teddy McSweeney also has a pure relationship with Tilly and treats her differently instead of judging her based on the rumors about her being a murderess. While those who can sympathize with outcasts in The Dressmaker are either outcasts themselves or are remorseful, or both, there are those in the Crucible that are purely and solely motivated by their moral uprightness. Rebecca Nurse is neither an outcast, as she is highly respected for her wisdom, nor remorseful, as she has remained kind and pure from the beginning of the play. She is always the voice of reason and tries to stop authoritative figures from convicting and prosecuting outcasts. A quote you can use would be, "I think you best send Reverend Hale back as soon as he come. This will set us all to arguing again in the society, and we thought to have peace this year." Those are 3 paragraphs that you could potentially go with when you're breaking down this particular essay topic. Of course, you don't have to follow through with this particular method. You might have your own unique ideas that you can bring to the table. But if you're interested in seeing how we actually developed this particular plan into a fully written essay with annotations on why we included certain examples, what we were thinking about as we were writing the essay, then have a look at our The Crucible and The Dressmaker study guide, which has just come out. So I'm so excited to be able to offer this resource for you guys. There's a free sample download for you as well if you just wanted to have a peek through to see see what sort of advice you'd be getting. Jordan, who wrote up this study guide for us, has just done an exceptionally amazing job, especially for a new text combination that hasn't been on the syllabus before. I know that you'll be able to gain a lot of value out of it, so feel free to check that out. I wish you all the best for your SAC and for the end of your exam, and I'll catch you guys soon. Bye!